To speak up. The consequences can destroy your reputation, your career, even your life. Now, one woman has approached Afriforum, this after she was warned she would be committing career suicide if she continued to pursue a sexual assault case against her superior. Reporter Silindelo Masikane has been following this story and she joins us now. So, Sli, this is a fascinating case. Just take us through what you know about this case and how it all started.
It's quite ironic because this is a woman who's an advocate. She's a member of the Johannesburg Bar and at some point was even an evidence leader in the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. This is somebody who has access to the law, who knows the law, and even she has been struggling to get her sexual assault matter before the courts and actually recognized within the professional bodies within the legal fraternity. She had approached many of the bodies saying, look, I want to report this particular judge who has sexually violated me. We need to address this. I mean, he is an officer of the court and obviously this kind of behavior is unacceptable. She was essentially silenced, even told by her colleagues, many of whom are esteemed and her seniors, to keep quiet because this is going to be career suicide. And for her, of course, it's unacceptable. And she says she's been from pillar to post trying to get this matter into the courts and she was simply ignored. But let's just take a listen to what she had to say to me.
You might, even as myself, I might be part of what is deemed to be a prestigious profession, but I thought to myself, I'm not safe. And being a woman in South Africa is an extreme sport that none of us asked to partake in, just by the way. You are unconsciously afraid all the time in our homes, when you're shopping, in your car, going to a public restroom, you look over your shoulder hoping someone is not following you. And gender-based violence carries on because nothing is done about it. People who are supposed to protect you don't.
I mean, this is a woman, as you say, in the legal profession, and she even feels that the system has not protected her. So talk to us very briefly what happened to Mpho, and at what point did she approach Afriforum and why?
So she spent about a year trying to get the bodies within her profession to recognize this and to do something about it, and of course had gone to the police, written a statement, tried to open a case, the investigating officer telling her, look, are you sure you really want to do this? But she says, I'm going ahead with this, and at some point was told by the NPA that, look, we're not going to prosecute, there simply isn't enough evidence. And at that point she said, this was my last resort, was to actually approach Afriforum. And actually at some point Sally had also approached the Ministry of Justice, the minister himself, saying, please assist me with this. And she approached Afriforum, and once the prosecution's body of Afriforum then got involved, wrote back to the NDPP to say, look, here's the evidence before you, why are you refusing to prosecute? All of a sudden there was a turn of events and the NPA has actually decided to prosecute, and the alleged perpetrator is now before the courts and is actually facing the charges before him. Let's take a listen.
What we have here is a prime example of selective prosecution, where an accused person is protected by the authorities by virtue of the status that they hold in a particular arena. In this one, it's in the legal fraternity. People not willing to take action against this individual. He is a former legal aid manager. He's a former member of he's a former acting judge. So holding a senior position within the legal fraternity, and all levels within the legal fraternity, from the LPC to the NPA and so on, not willing to take action because of this. So it shows that despite the serious commitments we hear from government that they take gender-based violence seriously, that it will no stone left unturned and so on, that when it comes to somebody with power in a certain sphere, that they are quite willing just to turn a blind eye.
And you know, we're so used to talking about very serious rape and that sort of thing, but a woman has a right if she's groped at a party, to go and lay a charge of sexual assault. She shouldn't be discouraged from doing that. And those are the charges, am I right? Sexual assault.
Sexual assault as well as harassment. And of course, we know just how bad the state of affairs for women is in this country. We don't feel safe anywhere. And I think as a legal professional, she of course expected that the law, at least at this point, would be on her side. But instead, she was victimized for speaking out and told not to do it. And it really speaks to just how terrible the situation is for women in this country. And we've spoken to some of the anti-GBV organizations around this issue, that women are actually encouraged to stay silent as opposed to speaking out. Let's take a listen.
What it says to people like us, founders of NPOs, is that is why cases of sexual assault that are laid upon normal people, civil people on the ground, never see the light of day. What do I mean? We've got so many cases of people who've been sexually assaulted, and those people get bail, and those cases, next thing you know, it's thrown out. So what more if you are a female and you are alleging that you have been sexually victimized or assaulted by a judge, and then they will say it's career suicide? That is just showing the narrative that the brown envelope works. People are silenced, people are victimized, because the fact that the people are saying it's career suicide, it's secondary victimization.
Yeah, it is indeed. I mean, being told you better not say anything, you're going to ruin your own career is terrifying.
It's terrifying, and I think it's very brave, because she, in fact, wants to just encourage other women to say, look, speak out. You know, despite the consequences, I'm telling my story to try and encourage you to speak out.
But this is a woman who has access, and she's got the time and she's got the means to pursue this. I mean, it raises some very uncomfortable questions. It was in court yesterday. What's happened? Where are we going next?
So we know that the matter has been postponed, but it is on the court roll, and the alleged perpetrator is, of course, now facing the charges before him. So we see what happens on the next court appearance, because yesterday, apparently, he didn't have a lawyer. So the matter has been postponed, and we'll see how this unfolds.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Silindelo Masikane.